A lot of people love sport bikes. If you're looking for attention from all the cool dudes in your area, you need a sport bike. Nothing else will do. But here's the thing about sport bikes. A lot of them are really impractical for like 99% of riding. Many have insanely powerful engines that you can only use a fraction of on the street, and they're super uncomfortable to ride, and while they're great for track, it's gonna be a pain for daily riding, literally. So here's my picks for bikes that really look the part of a dyed-in-the-wool sport bike, but are actually really nice to ride and you can live with. Let's go. Honda has sold the CBR 650R since around 2018. The fully fared motorcycle is based on the CB650F, which subsequently replaced the CB600F Hornet. And for all my Brazilian fans, they certainly know the CB600 Hornet. Being based on the detuned, street-oriented inline-4 naked bikes, the CBR 650R was quite an early adopter of the not-so-super-sport type of fully fared machine. Unlike the CBR 600R Supersport, the CBR 650R is designed to strike a balance between practical street riding and aggressive sporty riding on track or local twisties. The engine is a bit larger than your typical homologated Supersport and tuned in a way that prioritizes mid-range torque as opposed to top-end power. Now, amongst the ranks of parallel twin middleweight bikes, the CBR 650R still offers a unique riding experience that blends usability with the inline-4 power and soundtrack that diehard fast boys love. Compared to parallel twin not-so-supersports like the R7 or GSX-8R, the CBR 650R is capable of a bit more top-end power, coming in at 94 horsepower. One of the most noteworthy updates to the CBR 650R is the implementation of Honda's new e-clutch technology. The e-clutch automatically engages and disengages the clutch based on throttle input and engine speed, meaning you can ride the bike without ever having to pull in the clutch, even when leaving or coming to a stop. That system's pretty neat, and I think it presents a lot of opportunity to make riding even more accessible for different people. Quick shifters up and down are really commonplace, and the e-clutch can be seen as the next evolution of that technology. The CBR 650R is a sweet bike that provides a ton of thrills for an inline-4 package sport bike and a much more usable and appropriate package for the average street rider. And truthfully, if you see this bike going down the road and you hear how it sounds, you're never going to think it's anything different than a true blue sport bike. And as a quick side note, the Honda CBR 650R is going to be our next giveaway motorcycle. Make sure you don't miss out. Head over to GamingNoob.com and become a member today. You lock in your chances, stack up your entries, and you'll get entered to win that bike. Don't miss it. Aprilia debuted the RS 660 in 2019. It can be argued it was the first bike to really establish the framework for this new era of 650-ish class sport bikes. Before the RS 660, if you wanted a parallel twin middleweight sport bike, you were pretty much limited to the Ninja 650. Ugh, lame. Who wants that? Compared to the Ninja 650, the RS 660 is a modern marvel. The RS 660 is inspired by the RSV4 Superbike. From the engine architecture to the design to the advanced tech package, the 659cc 270-degree parallel twin produces a very nice 100 horsepower and 49 foot-pounds of torque. This power plant is really optimized for real-world sporty riding, whether on twisty roads or local racetracks. Unlike the really peaky, gutless power curve of a traditional inline-4 600, the 659cc twin in the RS 660 is torquey and linear, making power across most of the rev range as opposed to the very top. The Kayaba front fork and monoshock are both rebound and preload adjustable, and with a twin spar aluminum frame, it handles awesome. The ergonomics package strikes an optimal balance between practical comfort and sporty control, so whether you're using the bike for commuting, weekend rides in the twisties, or occasional track days, the RS 660 is really agreeable in every situation. We had one of these back in 2021 as a giveaway bike. I did extensive riding and testing with it. I took it on track and on road, and really I was super impressed. It's a very flexible, usable bike that you can just do everything with. This bike also makes use of the race bike derived tech from the RSV4, including a quick shifter, 6-axis IMU, ride modes, TC, and even wheelie control. Plus, unlike your traditional supersports, the RS 660 even has cruise control, which is a pretty sweet quality of life feature. This bike really has all the trappings of a stylish Italian sport bike while being super versatile and easy to get along with. Old school 600 squids hate this bike, but the next generation of fast boys seemingly are willing to pay $2,000 a month to insure one. The R7 landed on Yamaha's offerings in 2021 as the new placeholder for their middleweight sport bike offering. It's not fair to say it's a direct replacement for the discontinued R6, that's really more of the R9's bag, and the R7's meant to serve a different function in the market. The R6 was a tried and true race replica sport bike, so owning one forces you to make all the compromises you'd have to make when riding a race bike on the street. The R7, on the other hand, is part of this new interpretation of a middleweight sport bike. It's sporty looking, it has fairings and clip-ons, and is more committed in its riding style than your traditional naked bike, but it's a far more approachable package overall that splits the difference between a street bike and a race bike. This is another motorcycle we gave away in 2021. I have extensive testing with this bike on road and on track, and it really is pretty good. And that CP2 is just tried and true, pulled from the MT-07, good for 74 horsepower and 49 foot-pounds of torque. So much like the RS660, the R7 makes power in a way that's more advantageous for riding on the street with an ample spread of grunty low-down torque. While sharing the power parts with the MT-07, the R7 suspension is set up for improved handling, offering adjustability in the fork and the shock that you don't find on the MT-07. The R7 has the classic R-bike styling that sport bike guys love. I think it looks really, really good, but it presents a riding style that is much more tailored towards a specific type of riding a majority of motorcyclists actually do. Even Ducati, one of the proven leaders of motorcycle racing, recognized the shortcomings that a dedicated true sport bike can have when ridden on the street. As a result, alongside their famed superbikes, they also sold the Supersport 950 until its recent discontinuation in anticipation of the new Panigale V2, which kind of blends the old Panigale V2 and the old Supersport into one bike. But the Supersport 950, despite its name, has been the least sporty, fully fared motorcycle sold by Ducati. It's a motorcycle aimed for comfortable and practical street riding as opposed to dedicated track or racing use, which is not really Ducati's thing, but hey, here we go. It can maybe even be considered more of a sport tourer than a traditional sport bike. The Supersport uses a 937cc Testastretta L-twin that's good for 110 horsepower and 69 foot-pounds of torque. Its ergonomics package is sporty yet comfortable and proven to be far more practical than the highly committed position of a Panigale. Sure, it doesn't make 200 horsepower, but the Supersport's been a pretty neat alternative for people who want the charm and flavor of a fully fared Ducati sport bike while still retaining rideability and comfort. But truthfully, it was a bit heavy, and I think the new Panigale V2 strikes the balance a little bit better. The new Panigale V2 makes about 120 horsepower, it's substantially lighter than the Supersport 950, and its ergonomics package actually is a little bit more comfortable. If you look at the clip-ons, they are raised up a little bit, similar to the RS660. And look, while super powerful race replicas are cool and all, we want bikes that people can actually use more than the occasional track day or Instagram hypebeast reels. Maybe you just need a leader bike. Maybe you need to be pushing that 999cc displacement threshold to feel like a man. But you don't want to be stuck on a cramped, unrideable beast of a machine. Why present to you the Suzuki GXS-S1000 GT? This bike is everything you want from Suzuki. It's based on the tried and true K5 Gixxer engine, but detuned to make only 152 horsepower and 78 foot-pounds of torque. So not only will you get a more usable power delivery, but this thing is just going to run forever with no issue. The only thing more reliable than a K5 engine is a detuned K5 engine. It's got agreeable sport touring riding positions and higher handlebars and more of a mid-set foot pegs. To the naked eye, it really looks like a sport bike with hard bags. No one's gonna think it's dad bike unless they're really in the know. Not only does it look like a fast bike, it is properly fast while staying within the realm of realistic riding. It's got adjustable suspension, Brembo brakes, and some neat tech on the current generation like cruise control, up and down quick shifter, TC, and power modes. The GXS-S1000 GT really is a big brain Sigma move. It's fast, it's comfortable, it's really nice to ride, and costs just over $14,000 brand new. That's pretty nuts. We need to get an honorary 3-cylinder on the list, so of course we'll look to Triumph. I have nearly a decades-long love affair with the Daytona platform. Pretty much anyone who knows any bit of Yami Noob lore knows that. I've literally owned 5 of them. So with this existing predilection for Daytonas, I've had what we can call an emotional reaction to the new Daytona 660.
Come everybody, come, look everybody, we made a 660cc 3-cylinder engine make 95 horsepower. Oh my God, everybody come, look how great, look how everyday usable it is. We think that our customer base has a 62 IQ and is never even gonna question the fact that this is a cheap masquerading naked bike that wants to be a sport bike.
If you want my full in-depth thoughts and unbridled opinions on the Daytona 660, you can watch my dedicated review in the back catalog, but for today's purposes, we'll keep it relatively objective. The Daytona 660 is Triumph's take on the cross-platformed, not-so-super-sport style of motorcycle. It's based on their existing Trident 660 model, but provides a little bit more sporty package with full fairings and clip-ons. But unlike the Daytona 675, the 660 is very much an everyman sport bike. It makes just 94 horsepower and 52 foot-pounds of torque, and it's pretty comfortable, and it's tuned for low and mid-range power, which really is what most riders want for street use. They want to leave red lights quickly, and they want to be in the meat of the power at all times. It's got Showa suspension front and rear, ride modes, and ABS, and while the overall style is not too different from bikes like the R7, the GSX-8R, or the RS660, the Daytona 660 with its 3-cylinder engine brings a unique character to the category that's mostly dominated by twins. Alright, speaking of character, the last bike on the list, and certainly not least, and probably the best one, is the Kawasaki ZX-4RR. As we've discussed, sporty looking motorcycles that are designed for street use are pretty much dominated by parallel twin engines or the occasional detuned large 4-cylinder. The ZX-4RR is super unique in this category of rideable sport bikes because it really is the opposite of a big detuned 4-cylinder and instead uses a super high revving, strung out, small displacement 4-cyl. The more time that passes after I've owned a ZX-4RR as a giveaway bike about 2 years ago, the more I think this bike is just awesome. The 399cc engine is unfortunately quite limited in the US, but you can flash it to make about 75 horsepower. And unlike the grunty parallel twins, the ZX-4RR makes power like a classic 4-cylinder sport bike, revving all the way to 15,000 RPM. These super high engine speeds give the thrilling experience of a 600, but due to the smaller displacement and more comfortable ergonomics, it can be enjoyed within speeds that are safe and realistic. This bike really is the Miata of motorcycles, and again, the more time that passes, I just think it's awesome. Not only does the ZX-4RR look fast, it certainly sounds fast. When we had this motorcycle as a giveaway bike, we removed the muffler and just ran it straight piped, and it's almost comical how amazing it sounds. You can be screaming down the road at 14,000 RPM, but only be going like 60 miles an hour, and that's pretty sweet. This bike has a preload adjustable fork and a fully adjustable shock out back. It uses ABS, TC, and a quick shifter up and down. If you're looking for a motorcycle that has the appeal of a sport bike but can be enjoyed during pretty much everyday riding and is just a little more laid back, the ZX-4RR provides an experience that is vastly different from many of the parallel twin not-so-super sport bikes on the market, and honestly, I think it's the one to get if you really want a bike that looks fast but is actually rideable. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoy what we do here, consider heading to yamanoob.co and become a member. Like I said, CBR 650R is going to be the next bike. Super excited about that one. MT-07 giveaway should be ending by the time this video goes live. We are one of the biggest truly independent motorcycle outlets on the internet, and by being a supporting member, we're able to keep you guys with all the unhinged hot takes you've come from expect from Yamanoob without bogging your feed down with endless sponsors. Thanks again for your support. It means a lot to me. I'll catch you guys later. Fact: the International Space Station is the most expensive structure ever built. It cost over $150 billion to construct and maintain. Goodbye.
Keep watching Yamanoob!